How does this feel? Does this feel unnerving? Does it feel eerie? There's many aspects about a scene that influences how we feel about it. Here the light is ambient, it's atmospheric, it gives you a sense of meaning and a sense of purpose, for whatever reason. In contrast, light here is used as a weapon. Vibrant shades mimic arousal. Swollen lips, blushing cheeks. It lures its victims into losing a small fortune. And when those tourist funds are dwindling, you can always soothe your pain among like-minded heartbroken sims at the next location. So here I'm at one of the many gaming venues you can find around Tokyo. The light here is very immersive, drawing you into another world. But it's not only the light used in this room that is very striking. The light used in games themselves can be extremely beautiful and works of art.
One more person take one.
So all these visuals might look good so far, but what do engineers care about in the context of light? So when it comes to light, engineers care about pulses. To control light, engineers need to know how to control and manipulate many pulses really quickly. So to get this idea across, consider a square wave. When the wave is high, we turn the light on. When it's low, we turn the light off again. If we were to send that waveform through a light really quickly, you'd be left with a light that shines, and it'll shine with a brightness that is somewhere between a light that is entirely on and completely off. Now we can also change the ratio of the waveform. We can change the ratio of how long it's on for relative to how long it's off for. Now if you do this, which is referred to as changing the duty cycle of the waveform, you in effect get control of changing the dimness of the light. Now scale that idea up and have 3 separate lights. Have one be red, one green, one blue. Control them independently, bring them really close to one another to mix their lights, and now you have control of all your RGB colors. So everything thus far has just been talking about theory, but if we want to put this into practice, the best way to kind of get these ideas across is to develop an LED panel. So an LED panel is a matrix with lots of small LEDs that you can control individually. And what we want to be able to do is put all these waveforms in each LED to display an image and even a film. So to get this idea across, the 2 major components we'll be talking about, electronic components, is a D-latch and a demultiplexer. So a D-latch, think of it as a device that has so many inputs, the same amount of outputs, and an enable pin. So you set your inputs, you set your enable, and the outputs would be the same as your inputs until you release your enable. So by this method, we can control which of our columns in our matrix will be on. So similarly, a demultiplexer is a device and has one input, and you can route it to different outputs. By using this, we can control which row of our matrix is on. So to actually implement this design, you need to use a CAD software. So I used a software called KiCad. So KiCad is a software that allows you to design circuits and have them manufactured. So the first step in the process is you create a schematic. So a schematic is just a drawing of all the components and how they're linked to one another. Then after that, you have to design a layout. So a layout is actually showing the placements of all the components on the physical board and how the copper will be traced out to connect one lead to another. So once that's done, you buy all your components separately, either from the same company if they hold those components or from a separate company. I used a company called DigiKey. So once all that arrives, your components, your board, you solder it onto the board and hopefully it works. Now unfortunately that's a very rare case. It usually takes a lot of iterations, you lose a lot of money, a lot of years off your life, but hopefully it works and you get something like the following.
I should just shut up and cut the
goddamn lights on.
So I hope you enjoy that montage, and at the end of it you would have noticed we made this. So this is the LED matrix. I'll come closer so you guys can get a better view of it. So on the front there you see around 1,000 LEDs, and on the back of it you see many small black chips. So all these black chips are our demultiplexers and delatches. And on the top left hand corner here you see a small computer. So that computer is called a Raspberry Pi Pico. It's around $10 and it's powerful enough to control this matrix. So I've just turned the display on, and as you can see it's a graphic of a woman dancing. So far we've been talking about the hardware that goes into building the system, and now I'm just going to touch on the software briefly. So in a computer, a colourful image is represented as a matrix. So your height and width of that matrix is your resolution, and your depth is your colour channels, so red, green, blue. So every cell of that matrix is going to hold a value, and that value will represent the intensity of that amount of colour for that pixel in any frame. Now you can compress that 3D matrix into a 2D one, and you might want to do this if you're only going to use one colour, which is what our circumstances are. So this matrix is only using a single colour, that being white. So if you want to compress that image, you can turn that colourful image into what's called a grayscale image. So you can export this grayscale image as a CSV file. So this is what the computer and our board is going to read through to create an image. So it's reading through that CSV file, it's looking at every number, and it's translating that to how much time an LED is turned on for any frame within a film. So in simplicity terms, that's how we can run back a small film on this matrix. And at this point of the video, that's all the engineering that I'll discuss. We're coming to the end of this video, and I want to say thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for reaching this point, and hopefully you guys got something out of it. I'm going to end this video with a nice outro. An outro to pay homage and tribute to the beautiful lights of Japan. So I'll leave it with this outro, and hopefully I'll see you guys in the next video, if there ever is a next one. But regardless, take care.